Talk about the case much. There's a gag order in place, as we know, but he did touch on electric vehicle mandates, economy, anti-Semitism, border crime, national security, police support, abortion, health care, and even women's sports. I mean, Charlie, he covered a lot. Yeah, he sure did, and pointed out that most women are probably not going to want to play against somebody like Lawrence Taylor. Probably accurate. No, that was an amazing speech. Spoke for an hour and a half. City officials, town officials told the Associated Press there was 100,000 people there. As you pointed out, people camped out overnight. This is why Democrats are terrified of Donald Trump. This is why they will stop at nothing to stop him, because there is no Democrat, no politician today who can draw a crowd like that Donald Trump draws. And a speech like that, which is entertaining, he's at the beach, in the fairgrounds, sun shining on his face. He can do it in a way that keeps people's attention for an hour and a half. And that is serious political power. And I think Democrats literally don't know what to do about it. So the best shot they have is to try to fight him in court. Yeah, undoubtedly. And Joey, the one thing that when you see President Biden come out and some of his campaign stops, what he does is he essentially says everything's great, Bidenomics working, everything's going wonderfully. But then former President Trump comes out and he actually hits on things that people are afraid of that's going on. Let's listen to a few of them.
There's so many people here. Man, over 100,000 people. Even on the haters, they said this may be the biggest rally they've ever seen. We are going to officially play in the state of New Jersey. We're going to win the state of New Jersey. On day one, we will throw out Bidenomics and we will reinstate Maganomics. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country.
You know, Joey, polling will tell you, as well as just kitchen table conversations will tell you that the cost of living is high for people. And so for President Biden to continue to tell people that Bidenomics is great, President Trump here is talking to the American people. Yeah, I have to imagine most people watching this right now watch the majority of this rally. You know, you listed a laundry list of issues he touched on. He also talked about Mother's Day, Jimmy Carter, and golf. I mean, he covered it all. But the fact is, if you're running against Joe Biden, with or without Trump's previous record, the menu is so vast. I mean, it's like going to your favorite restaurant. There's so many things there you can choose from and drill down on. He did a fantastic job on a lot of issues, but there's so much there. He even had to kind of gloss over some of the bigger ones at the end. And so what does that tell you? That tells you that he's very popular, but he has a lot to run on. In this country right now, we reward politicians that tell you what's broken, and Trump has a lot to tell you that's broken. And I think from the celebrities on stage to a Democrat congressman turned Republican, the idea that that doesn't appeal to moderates or people that are undecided or maybe people that aren't super tuned in, that's crazy. Of course it appeals to them. Well, and Lisa, to Joey's point, I mean, he's in the district where the congressman was formerly Democratic, turned Republican. Here we are in New Jersey. Well, we're in New York, but he's in New Jersey. And essentially, New Jersey is historically blue when it comes to presidential elections. They have had red governors. But here we are under Phil Murphy in New Jersey, and taxes on gas, property, income have all gone up. President Trump is appealing to these voters. What do you make of it?
Well, we saw a triumphant Donald Trump. I mean, this is a guy who has had arrows thrown at him. I mean, Democrats have tried to put him in jail, bankrupt him, and he's not only is he still standing, but he's on top, right? He's winning right now in the polls. You mentioned New Jersey, the state that he was speaking from, that he's in currently. Look, he lost by 16 in 2020, but if you look at an Emerson College poll from earlier last month, he's only down by 7. In a head-to-head contest. And then when you include third-party candidates or potential third-party candidates, he's only down by 5. So a 9-point swing is significant when you look at that head-to-head. And as a political nerd, it has me asking, you know, what states are going to be in play this election cycle? You look at sort of like the more conventional 7 swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina likely as well. But Team Trump put out a memo saying, look, Minnesota is in play, Virginia's in play, Joe Biden's trying to eye Florida, but that's a joke because registered Republicans outnumber Democrats by 900,000. So good luck, Joe Biden there. So, you know, what will this electoral map end up looking like after November?
And the fact that he's actually doing a rally like this in a place like New Jersey, I think, says a lot about how aggressive they're trying to be on it. One other point that is worth noting, I think probably the what will be the sort of newsiest item out of this is the fact that apparently North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and his wife Catherine flew with Trump into Wildwood.
Yeah.
And he talked about the fact that this is a guy who made his money in technology but knows more about energy than anybody else I know, and then turned to the stage and said, get ready for something, just get ready.
Yeah.
So anybody who's like watching the Veep sweepstakes, I think that was a pretty significant.
And he was very impressive in the debates. I mean, he really was. I didn't know who he was, and then he was very impressive then.
And the fact that he is so knowledgeable about energy is going to be so important.
Absolutely.
One of the issues that Trump beats Biden on so badly is energy prices.
But think about this moment we are in American history, where we have predecessor and successor running against each other.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, he just went through all of the wins that he had when he was president. And so Americans can go through the list. They can stack up all the things he talked about, foreign policy, energy, the economy, crime, immigration, all of it. Look where we were and look where we are now under Joe Biden. Which do you prefer? And CNN had a poll recently finding that 55% of Americans now view Donald Trump's presidency as a success. Now, to win over those undecided voters, he also needs to look to the future and convince those voters that not only was the past better, but the future can be as well, which I think he did tonight.
And what does he do? He goes in and he tries to neutralize the best thing Democrats have, which is the abortion debate. I mean, that they think that's their best issue, and he goes in and he tries to neutralize it. I don't know how effective it is, but I don't think it turns his base away.
Well, it'll certainly be interesting. There'll be talk this week, as we saw with Vice President talk with Haley. We know Haley is out, but that does it for us tonight. We will see you back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.